What could go wrong? What could go wrong, David Flores? I can imagine knowing you a little bit. I know a little bit. You're going to have something good to tell us. What could go wrong, David Flores?
Well, thank you, Tom. Good evening, everybody. Well, I'll share the story of what happened in high school. In my high school, you have to realize that it was an old high school, and one of the things we had in our high school was an auditorium. But this wasn't just a regular auditorium. This was a full-blown auditorium built in the mid 1930s. And part of the elective classes we had was we called the stage crew, which I became a part of. You had a petition to be, it was an elective, and the stage manager would pick those who would be part of that stage crew. So I was on the stage crew, and one of our nemesis in the school was the vice principal of the high school. He did not like the stage crew. He thought it was a bunch of renegades and misfits. He didn't think we would be doing of any value, any part of the school itself. But as a stage crew, we were responsible for not only just maintaining the auditorium and also running any programs that some of the local schools have put on, even our own school or other schools. They put on band concerts, plays, all kinds of things in the evening after school. And as a stage crew, we had to be there to monitor those things. Well, then what happened one week is that not only did the local schools use the auditorium, but it was also contracted out to private entities. And they would put on, we've had ballets, we had concerts, we had political forums in there. Then one week, a local hospital decided they wanted to put together a fundraising follies. So this was going to be a fundraiser they put on where all the different staff would put on skits for a two-day show, one on a Friday night, one on a Saturday. And it was going to be a big production. They even had a volunteer director that would help them put this whole follies together with all the props, the lighting, and everything else that would go on in any kind of a follies. Well, because they were staff, they would contract the auditorium from 7 in the evening till 12 o'clock at night. So we were there doing rehearsals every night, and at midnight, we'd finally clear them out, put everything away, get the auditorium locked up, close up the entire facility. And you got to remember that this whole building was part of the main building. It was a main building with the auditorium built onto it. The main building housed the staff, principal, vice principal, and everyone else. Well, our vice principal had a habit of parking his car on the side street at the end of the building and cutting through the auditorium by opening one of the outer doors and then walking through our foyer in the front by the stage and walking out another door to go to his office, as opposed to using the staff parking lot, which is the further away. Well, when we got off one night, the last rehearsal was like just after midnight, about 12:30 or so. By the time we wrapped things up, we were done. And our stage manager, Mr. Foltz, decided to go home, and we sat there and looked at each other and said, well, I'm not going home. I'm not going to go back home and just 2 hours, 3 hours later, I have to come back to school. So we elected just to spend the night in the auditorium. So we parked ourselves in the auditorium. Larry, who had his motorcycle, decided to bring his motorcycle into the foyer of the front of the stage so it wouldn't stay outside. Well, as usual, our vice principal came in that morning. As he walked into the auditorium through the outside door, saw the motorcycle and wondered what the heck's going on here. So we went up on the stage and found a couple of us sleeping on stage, asking who we were. We said stage crew. And he goes, what are you doing here? Well, we spent the night. Because you spent the night. He stormed off in a huff. So when our stage manager came, we told him what happened. And I said, he doesn't seem very happy about what was going on. And our stage manager was a grumpy old guy, been in the district for years, said he was going to be upset about it. He didn't care. Well, sure enough, he kept bringing up the idea that students are not allowed on campus after 10 o'clock unless they're coming in from a function that was school related. Well, our stage manager said, this is not school related. We have contracts that go on throughout the year, even in the summertime. And you guys contract these out. So what do you want us to do? We have to have a staff there in order to run the auditorium. So they came up with two conclusions. One conclusion would be that at 10 o'clock, we would leave and unionized people would come in and run the auditorium. Of course, that was going to cost them $8, $9 an hour at the time. Second option was, well, those of us who were old enough to have work permits or actually work, were 18 and over, we could become district employees. And that's what the solution was, because the district employee, we were going to only get paid just over $1 an hour. So now that was the solution. We became district employees, those of us who are 18 and over, to be able to run the auditorium. Well, what could go wrong? Obviously, now we had keys to the auditorium. We had the ability to come in and out as we wanted. And then the only person that was upset about the whole thing was our stadium manager, because now he had to fill out time cards for us and submit them, because we were employed and paid through the district, mainly the maintenance department. Well, we had to get even with our vice principal. And what we decided to do is we went down and we requisitioned 2 no trespass or no authorized personnel only. And we put them on the exterior doors that led into the auditorium. Then we requisitioned 2 what we call great grandmaster locks. The way the system works is that locks are dedicated by certain categories, and only those with certain keys can get into certain rooms and buildings. Well, the great grandmaster is like either for the top supervisor or the department of maintenance and stuff. So we changed those locks, put up the signs, and waited the next morning when Mr. Lindell, is his name, came, parked his car, got to the door, put his key in the lock, and it didn't go in. It didn't work at all. He was upset. He couldn't figure out what was going on. It was, we sat there and snickered at him. As soon as he started walking back to his car, we walked up, used our keys, opened up the door, and walked on in. He was really mad. Now that's what could go wrong. So sure enough, now they told him they are not students. There are district employees. Until school starts, they're district employees. They're on the clock. So there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing we can do about it. That's what the district decided to do. So that's how it went down. And we had so many stories I could tell you, but I don't have time for it. But that just covers the moral stories. You have a vendetta against a certain group, be careful, because it come back and bite you in the derriere, which it did with our vice principal, because now we held the key for him to go either out, and he couldn't do it unless we gave him permission to do so. Mr. Toastmaster.